Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Priya Rathod, and today I am going to discuss about psychological depth and human motivation in Robert Browning's dramatic monologues. These are my academics details and presentation details. This is table of contents. So my research question is, how does Robert Browning use the dramatic monologue form to reveal the psychological depth and underlying human motivations of his speakers? Hypothesis: Browning's dramatic monologues function as a psychological case studies in verse, where the speaker's self-justifying rhetoric unintentionally exposes their subconscious motives such as ego, insecurity, obsession, and the desire for control. Through this form, Browning anticipates modern psychoanalytic methods by transforming poetic narration into a process of self-revelation and moral introspection. So let's begin with introduction. Browning's dramatic monologue is a psychological portrait of in verse, giving readers close access to the speaker's thought. It combines three key elements: speaker and implied listener, and character revelation, creating a scene of unintentional self-disclosure. The speaker unconsciously reveals inner conflicts, offering a psychoanalytic view of their mind. Motivation is enacted, not explained, showing desires, fears, and flaws through selective rhetoric. The mask of the mind is central, as the speaker projects a controlled persona, while the hidden motives leak through. Browning often chooses a moral, ambiguous, or villainous characters to explore human darkness. This form anticipates modern psychoanalysis, showing how subconscious motivation conflict with conscious intent. It highlights how people present a facet with revealing their true selves inadvertently, exploring obsession, control, and moral ambiguity. Context: Victorian anxiety and the inner life. Browning's monologues offered a vital space to explore the era's spiritual and psychological uncertainty. By isolating the voice, he revealed the human mind wrestling with its own motives, divorced from the easy moralizing. This shift from public action to private thought, from character in action to action in character, was a revolutionary step toward a modern literary psychology. Uh, Motivation in My Last Duchess, The Cult of Control. The Dukes in the work My Last Duchess by Robert Browning, the Duke's motivation is fundamentally about maintaining status and power. He couldn't bear the Duchess's innocent equality of spirit, which he saw devaluing his ancient name. Killing her was his twisted way of resolving an internal conflict, turning a complex woman into a permanent silent possession. This obsessive need for control remains relevant in relationships today. Psychological depth: The Duke's self-disclosure. The psychological depth of the Duke emerges in his rhetorical gaps. He is not simply describing a portrait, he is performing the superiority while desperately trying to justify his crime. His focus on material possessions from the bronze statue to the dowry confirms that his deepest motivation is materialistic pride, not emotional hurt, revealing chilling pathology. This picture symbolizes that a human mind is complex and layered. This picture is also represent the psychological depth and human motivation in Robert Browning's work My Last Duchess. Motivation in Porphyria's lover, the obsession with perfection. The lover's motivation is intensely psychological. He cannot accept Porphyria's transient, flawed human love. To secure her love forever, he commits a monstrous act, believing he is preserving her purity. This study of delusional thinking, which prioritize perfect movement over a living person, remains a powerful warning about the psychotic nature of possessive love. Psychological depth, rationalizing the irreversible act. uh, the true psychological depth here is the speaker's profound lack of guilt. He describes struggling her with the same calm precision he described her lighting the fire. His conviction that God has not said a word is the horrifying culmination of the self deception, showing how far the human mind can travel into its own darkness when motivated by a possessive delusion. Invisible audience and the self-justifying voice. The presence of the silent listener is the stroke of psychological genius. The speaker is compelled to speak, which exposes his inner motive. His self-justification is forced into the open. The envoy's silence in My Last Duchess emphasizes the Duke's isolation, where his power has created a world of monologues, not dialogues, reflecting a common pitfall of unchecked authority. The core motivation, ego and insecurity. The central psychological lesson is that destructive motivation stems form from deep insecurity. Both the duke and the lover must inhale the external challenge to their self perception, whether it's a smile or a social tie. This reinforces the tragic idea that those who crave total control are often the most psychologically fragile, destroying others to stabilize their own fractured egos. Conclusion. To conclude, we can say that Browning's works challenges us to be active spectacle readers. The psychological depth of his characters lies in the gap between their public performance and their private, often heinous motivation. This model of critical listening in his lasting legacy, training us to discern the truth hidden beneath any powerful self-justifying narrative, making this Victorian text timeless. Justification of the hypothesis. This hypothesis is robust because the dramatic monologue's formal constraint transform the poem into a psychological trap for the speaker. By focusing entirely on a self-justifying argument delivered to a silent audience, the speaker's conscious effort to maintain a facade, for example, the duke's calm superiority or the lover's pure motive, is constantly undermined. The reader, serving as the analyst, is able to detect the unintentional slips, which function as a textual evidence to expose the underlying subconscious motives, the insecurity, ego, and pathological desires for control. Thus, the monologue inherently becomes a case study where the character reveals their true flawed nature not through the poet but in spite of their own narrative intent. These are my learning outcomes. These are references. These are key points throughout the presentation. And thank you. If anyone has any question, they are free to ask.
My question is, what might Browning's mask of the mind symbolize in a modern context?
So, in today's world, Browning's The Mask of the Mind symbolizes the carefully constructed identities of people present online or in society. Social media personas, professional facets, emotional filters that hide insecurity or moral conflict. It reflects how individuals still conceal their true motives behind curated appearances of confidence or virtue. Any other question?
So my question is, how do Browning's insights helps in understanding manipulation today?
So Browning's poems show how people use charm, words, or appearances to hide their true intentions. By studying characters like the Duke or Porphyria's lover, we see how manipulation works, making others act or think a certain way while serving the manipulators' ego or desire. This helps us to recognize similar tactics in modern life, like in politics, advertising, as well as personal relationships. Thank you. This is from my side.